Okay, starting a little early. Hopefully this mic is working. Cool. Can you hear me?
Hello, hello.
Nice. Here we go. But hey, glad to have you in here. It kind of switches it up a bit. Every now and then we have a guest, but it's been a little while since we've done a live space with a guest. And great to have an awesome builder like yourself here, Brian, with Pistachio Fi. So we'll talk a lot about what you're building and yeah, what your future plans are, how that fits into the same space of privacy, self-sovereignty here, and what we're building. So yeah, excited.
I love it. Yeah, I know when you were messaging me too, you're like, can you give us any information in terms of self-sovereignty and privacy? I'm like, well, that is very heavily aligned with what we're doing, and so it'll be very easy to discuss at length about those topics.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So no, we're I think in the background we're sharing the link. We're spreading the love out here. I've put it in a few groups, so hopefully we'll have some people join in. We're only a few minutes in, but yeah, I'll do a little intro. Although we've got action here. We've got our main man, the host who boasts the most roast. If you want
All
to jump in
right.
and say hi too.
I do what I can. I don't think I'm all that, but I do what I can.
Well, I
Who's
might have
that?
made
Nice
this
to meet
bang
you.
on dinner time for you, actually, rather than it being later.
No, no worries at all. I'm here, man. I'm here through and through for Mask.
Thank you, good sir. Although we can't eat mask tokens, at least not yet. So what have you got cooking there for dinner? You got steak and some homegrown veggies. I love seeing your plates, man.
Oh, today? No, today was a little more simple. It was just, pork belly, rice, beans, some collard greens from the yard. Had some, corn for the kids from the from the garden as well. Zucchini because I can't stop making those things grow. Like, you got to rip it out if you want to make it stop. So yeah, I got zucchini for days.
Oh, that's delicious,
Nice.
man.
Sounds amazing. Well, no pistachios on sprinkled on top.
I do not have a pistachio tree. All I got are macadamia nuts. Sorry. I apologize.
My
That's
girlfriend
good.
actually just came back from Italy and like Sicily specifically, where it's just everything is pistachio. Like everywhere she was going, it's just pistachio. This pistachio, that pistachio, desserts, just on everything. And so she came back, and now I have like pistachio cookies. I have a bag of pistachios here. We have pistachio cream. And it's all so delicious. I am very happy that this is the direction I went with my branding.
That's so good. You might need to link up with some of those suppliers there and actually brand some real products, after you're fully live. That'd be so good.
Oh, I want to have like not a party, but like at some point, if I go to like a live event, like a conference or something, like some sort of like small get together. And a friend was even saying, he's like, dude, if you throw a conference side event, that's just like an actually good event, and you give away just a ton of pistachios, you're going to be the most popular wallet in no time.
That's it, man. We'll just leave a trail of pistachio shells on the ground that lead to the booth or the entrance. That's how
Oh, I
people
like that.
find it, Don't even have
Yeah.
a location. It'll be the trail of the crumbs, the shells.
Yeah, I love that little shrouded in secrecy.
Yeah, man. But no, it's awesome to have you guys here. We'll probably talk about quite a wide range of stuff. But first and foremost, yeah, well, we'll get to know yourself. For those of you who are from other communities or even the Pistachio Five fans, I'm Hero, the project lead co-founder of Mass Network. We've built a peer-to-peer networking solution that offers borderless browsing for everyone. Basically, it's going to be a Web3, or it is a Web3 decentralized DVPN, so you can get away from the old traditional tools like VPNs, which have their flaws. They have their centralization and Tor, and they're easily censored these days. So we've built a solution which lets you tap into that, share your freedoms across the world, and we've got a browser that's live. You can use it right now for free in testnet. And we've invited Brian, who's also a co-founder, or you are the founder of Pistachio Fi. Maybe tell us about what you've built.
Yeah, absolutely. Co-founder, and I guess I was the original founder, and my co-founder Kyle He's down below in the audience, actually. So shout out Kyle. He makes the magic work. He's the execution to my vision. But so to put it simply, we are building what I call the ultimate self-banking application, right? And the way I describe it is actually the way I describe it specifically to non-Web3 natives, right? Because the whole idea is to lower the cognitive overhead of crypto and kind of everything that comes along with it, and having a seed phrase and paying gas fees and all this stuff. And so what I tell non-crypto people is it's a way to have custody of your money in a way that where a bank, or let's say FTX, right, where you would hold your crypto on there and they have access to it, right? They have, like, FTX had access to your funds, and that's what caused the cascading, not liquidations, but the cascading effects of the market a few years ago, right? When everything went kaput and everyone lost their money. And so it's self-custodial, right? Like any sort of normal, not normal, but standard wallet, MetaMask, Rabby, things like that. But the idea is to make it easier with a better UX for users. And so what that involves is you don't sign up with a seed phrase. There's no seed phrase. You sign up with your email or your SMS, and we save the private key to your phone. We save that then private key to your cloud as well. We kind of split it up in something called multi-party computation. Makes it very easy to recover if you are you, and it makes it very difficult to hack if they're not you. And so what we're trying to kind of do is create this element of self-banking, in where a normal wallet is sort of like it's your access point to the wild, wild west of crypto. And Pistachio's goal is to kind of create a garden of network effects in which you join the app, and within that app, you have benefits for being within the app, right? And so that means, like, we have embedded DeFi. We're going to have peer-to-peer encrypted chat. We're going to have free transfers between users. And so it's gasless transfers, right? Kind of like Venmo, but on a global, international scale. And so one common thing, an embedded DeFi as well. And so one common thing I kind of say to non-Web3 natives is this idea that the banks right now, what happens is you put the money in the bank, they take custody of it, they take it and they generally lend it, right? And they earn yield off that. What we allow you to do, and this is it's common stuff for Web3 natives, right, is the idea of, like, decentralized lending. But the idea is to put this decentralized lending into the app itself. And so that way you are your own bank, right? You can lend money through a decentralized lending process, earn yield on your coins. And you don't have to go through MetaMask to then connect to another wallet or another platform, right? It's all going to be in the same application, and it makes it much easier. So whereas the process before for getting onboarded to crypto was, oh, well, I have to make a centralized account, and on a Coinbase, I have to go through the KYC, I have to take that, and then I have to create a MetaMask, I have to take the 24 words, I have to write them down somewhere that I'm never going to forget, and then I have to send the money from the Coinbase to the MetaMask account. And then once I'm in MetaMask, I have to access the browser, find which of the hundreds of DeFi platforms I want to use, and then figure out which ones are trustworthy, which ones are not going to scam me, which ones are audited, right? And then put your money there. And so we simplify it in, you download Pistachio, you're in within a minute by creating your name via email or SMS. We create your wallet for you. You land in the wallet. It's there. If you want to buy crypto, we use an aggregator, which makes it very easy from anywhere in the world. Pretty much all the countries, it's like over 190 different countries are supported, and there's minimal KYC involved as well. And so basically, if you are purchasing less than $500 in crypto a month, all you have to do is provide your name and your email, and you can purchase and you're in. And so we take the former process, which is steps and steps and steps and steps, right? Which is very daunting for especially people who are, like, not technologically inclined. And we just make it super simple.
Awesome. There's a lot to unpack in there. I think it sounds like you've made it so all roads lead into Pistachio, right? So you've built bridges, not moats, right?
Yeah, that's the idea, and it sort of becomes the moat itself, right? Like, the more that we add to it, the stickier that it gets from within the inside. And it's also not very easy to build Web3 mobile apps, and so it's kind of that gives us an edge in terms of competition.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so what I was going to ask for the people listening in too, are you releasing, well, I mean, and if this is alpha, you can like say, hey, I can't say right now, but are you releasing it as a web app first and then mobile, or is it all around the same time? Like, how can users get involved?
No, we're building to be mobile first. Web app it's more difficult because we would have had to build it in then like React Native, and then it like building as a web app first really is with the intention of skirting around the app stores, right? And so we're building with the idea of longevity in mind, and building our app's built in React Native, and that allows us to push to both iOS and Android. I mean, we have to test on both, and we've mostly been doing our testing on iOS, but we are already live on the iOS app store in terms of on test flight. And so we're going through our alpha testing right now. We should be able to go into beta testing very shortly, actually, within the next, hopefully, few weeks. We have like 2 or 3 things left that we have to kind of tighten up. And then we're also going to be working on the Android version as well. We just recently received I actually didn't know this. It's like maybe alpha for someone who's never launched an app to the Google Play Store, but you need a Dun & Bradstreet number, like a DUNS number, in order to publish an app to the Google Play Store. So we've received our number for that. Now that we have that, we'll be able to publish to the Google Play Store as well. But no, the plan is to go full mobile first, and publish legitimately through the app stores and beyond both iOS and Android.
Amazing, amazing. Yeah, I thought that DUNS number thing was also something for like a company Apple Dev certificate too, for releasing notarized software. But I guess if you're doing it through the iOS store, it's all inclusive with your release as well, right?
It's that centralized scam that they try to give a business their credit scores. That's all it is.
That's right. Yeah. KYB.
Yeah, but it's unfortunate that it's needed, but it's like, okay, if this is what we got to do to play ball, then we'll do it.
Nice.
Jumping those
that's
hurdles so we don't have to. That's what I like to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
right.
very good.
Man, if that actually very succinctly describes, I feel like, what we're trying to do, right? It's like very complicated on the back. Like, what our app is very complicated on the back end. It's a pain in the ass building it. I'm sure Kyle can attest to that very much so. But the idea is to make it just super, super simple on the front end, and it will be. Like, the onboarding is so smooth, so nice, so fast. But it's just like all of like the Web3 architecture that goes into the background, because we use multi-party computation, we use account abstraction, we use like a DEX and bridge aggregator, different RPCs, and none of them talk nice, right? So we have to like create our own sort of like standardization when we pass things through to make them able to communicate. And so it's definitely a huge pain in the ass on the back end, but the end result is that the user experience for the user will be silky smooth.
Amazing. No, that's cool. That's an amazing roundup, and I can appreciate some of the challenges you're describing too, working with Mask, just because we've had a similar approach where we're trying to, build an ecosystem where partners come in, or on-ramps and off-ramps are kind of natively built in. So you don't need all these extra layers of logins and accounts and things. Like, you want everything at your fingertips if you're a new user, right? So I'm sure a lot of people listening are really keen to know how they can try it out. Don't know if you have any timings on your plans, but I see you might have an alpha wait list. Like, how can people get in early?
If they want to get in early, what they should absolutely do is click on the PistachioFi Twitter X account that we have right here. Go to the website, it's pistachio.fi, and sign up for our wait list. Tweet it out if you don't mind. We really appreciate any type of exposure and reach that we can get with that. And so once the beta is available, we will be sending out an email message to everyone on that wait list. And so that'll be the quickest way to get in. And hopefully the beta is going to be available in a matter of weeks. You'll still need test flight to do it, right? And beta access will be limited to the first 10,000 users. And so, get in quick if you actually want to be able to use it while we but also keep in mind it's like early beta. There will be things that are breaking, and if something does break, please just let me know. We're going to create a line of feedback, and get everything working and snappy as soon as possible. But honestly, a reason it's kind of taken us a little while to get to launch is because we're making it very tight, and the app itself is very, very fast, very performant, very, very smooth in the user's hands. It's just about really just a few critical things are need to be tightened up before we can let more people use it. It's a financial app at the end of the day, and it's like I want to so badly subscribe to the philosophy of, build things and break things fast and get it going, but it's like this is people's money that we're talking about, right? Like if you download this, you're going to hold a certain amount of value and money on this platform. And so I want to be 1000% sure that you are not going to lose your money. That's like the whole thing. So, and we very highly value safety and security.
Yeah. No, that's got to be paramount. But I mean, the fact that you're starting out with self-custody and decentralized sort of core design, is a big aspect of keeping that in the security and the ownership in the hands of the user, which is awesome. Like we totally relate to that to Mask. But what you just said really aligns with what we're, sometimes challenged with too in design and product development at Mask, because we're dealing with a privacy-based, data sovereign product. And we want to make sure it's so secure and so private. Like if someone's using it, it doesn't sort of have a bug or something that might, disconnect in a certain way. And then someone's IP is gone to the server they didn't want or something like that, which so far we haven't had, issues with. But that's such a core thing. You're always like, we're builders, we're co-founders. You're like so strict with certain things. You're like, man, I sound like a like a general. Hey, don't let this slide. But you have to be that way, right?
Oh man, yeah, it's something I've come to terms with and accept, and I think it's fine. If Kyle was up here, I'm sure he would attest that I'm definitely strict and demanding as a founder and leader and CEO. But it's also like I think there has to be a minimum threshold of level of excellence that we have to demand from ourselves, right? And I hold myself to that standard. Like I wouldn't ask anyone else to perform up to that standard if I wasn't also holding myself to it. And so it's just a level of if we want to grow and be the best, that we have to be absolutely excellent. But luckily, not only do I think I reached that, but I know and I can with confidence say that my co-founder Kyle also reaches that standard. He's very excellent. I wish I could just clone him. Things would be so much faster.
Oh yeah, honestly, if we had cloning technology, oh man, that'd be so good. But no, I also before we carry on, I want to give a shout out to some of the awesome people that have joined in and some of the communities that have joined in. We got SRT3, leading the way with key ethical leaders, which is KEL. It's something that everyone should really carry on as a narrative, in the space. Genzio, Action. I think we had Alani in here even. He popped in. We got some OGs from the Mask crowd. We got Snoop from SRT. We got Chris, Ronnie. Thanks for all joining, It's
Absolutely, awesome. Yeah. Alani's one of our, well, this, but the audience doesn't, but Alani's one of our advisors and has been giving us a lot of really good advice for over the last few months. Couldn't be going as fast as we are without him. So it's definitely a special shout out.
Yeah, he is an OG and one of the true KELs that I would put on a list of key ethical leaders, in the space, because he's done it all. And, also mad respect to you. A lot of people may not know some of the backstory, but, you've bootstrapped this from day one and you've been building it up. I know you're, maybe looking at how you're going to support the company in different ways, but that's, taking a big risk like that as a founder and spending a lot of time and your own resources is, you got to have conviction. You got to have confidence in what you're building. So kudos to you doing it the right way.
Thank you. It's certainly not easy. I'll say that, putting my own money on the line for making sure that when we first started out, the app, I just realized that the app wasn't going to get off the ground if I didn't do it, if I didn't pay for it myself, if I didn't make sure that I could contract a developer who would be able to pay his bills while being able to do this, right? Like I realized very quickly that free development is especially in this economy, does not exist. And so, I'm like, I've had a lot of conviction in wanting to build a product like this since 2017. I actually had the idea of like, what if we built like an on-chain bank? And I sort of just kind of put it on the back burner until I designed like the WeChat for the West back in like a year and a half ago at like DevCon Columbia. And then that sort of took form, and I like taught myself UX UI design in order to take that and then design and wireframe the whole app out. I created that, and then using that wireframe, I was able to like pitch the vision to Kyle, who was aligned, got on board, and we were able to build a thing. And so there was a lot of elbow grease and conviction that sort of went into the early days of being able to make sure that this thing got off the ground.
Yeah, awesome. Action, did you want to weigh in here? You've used lots of wallets. Are you excited about Pistachio?
Dude, I have like some of the toughest questions that I could ever ask. I'm really curious here. Why Pistachio?
Who doesn't love pistachios, first of all? Second, it was, and I'm sorry for the long answer here. It sort of evolved into itself. Like originally the app was called Portal because it was going to be like your portal into Web3, but it still felt too techy. I wanted to create a brand that was strong and not immediately identified as Web3 or crypto. And I wanted to create a brand that was easily, and this is my whole philosophy on branding, is the most important thing in branding is for your brand to be remembered. And so Pistachio is very good with that. One, there's like nothing else called Pistachio besides like a pistachio company, which is awesome, right? There's a lot of like SEO optimization to be done there and traffic that we can gain. There's no tech company that's also called Pistachio, which leaves a lot for us. And then as I started to build it out, originally it was actually going to be Almond, and my girlfriend's dog is named Pistachio. And once she said it, and it rang, it vibrated in me like, no, it can't be almond. It needs to be pistachio. It sounds so much better. It's like the luxurious nut, And the whole thing was to create an elite on-chain experience. And then the more we talked about it, the more the brand just evolved and folded into itself in a way. Like our icon, for example, our logo is a financial portfolio, but also a pistachio at the same time. And so that's why it kind of lends to that. And then we have our tagline is protect your nut. And so your financial nut being your money, right? And the whole thing is a pistachio has a shell that covers and protects the preciousness that's inside. And so we're built on safety and security, and we protect your nut. And so it grew into itself, and I don't know, it's been so perfect.
I love it. And, pistachios can withstand that trial of time. If you really want to go deep into the pistachio world, much better than almonds, which use way more water. So you guys are lean, more like a pistachio versus the whole, spending a whole bunch of water. I can keep this going for a while. I'm a huge nerd when it comes to random facts. I just have way too much free time in my hand. Like it takes 7 to 10 years for a pistachio tree to actually start putting out pistachios. It's technically not a nut, but a seed. So you're planting those seeds everywhere and getting people hooked up on crypto. Yeah, just let me know if you need more. I'll keep it going.
I need just a list of pistachio facts. That's great.
Yeah, man, give them these brand messages, and we could all go to the dad joke too. It's like, come on, we're also all a bit nuts here, building as founders in Web3.
I mean, pistachios, one of those astronaut favorites because they pack a whole lot of nutritional value in a very small package. So, I mean, even in zero gravity, you can snack away. So it's a snack of the future.
Love it. It's one of my favorite high protein snacks too. I'm eating pistachios literally right now.
Yeah, I heard a rapper like a bag rustling in the background. I was like, he's got to be eating his craft here to make it
Oh,
legit.
absolutely. It's these high quality Sicilian pistachios that I was talking about.
Oh yeah, you got it straight from the source. That's so good.
Yeah,
man.
you got to do that. And it's a smiling nut, right? I'm sure you've heard that one because when you crack it open, it looks like a little smile inside. And
Yeah.
it's been going on for a long time. I think it was like 6,000 or 7,000 years BC that pistachios have been consumed by people. So yeah, it's definitely standing the test of time here.
I think you're also an advocate. Is there a commodity that the futures is about to boom? The pistachio futures is going to spike after this space here. Action's the spokesman.
Well, I mean, it's evolved over the years. It used to be dyed, left and right because they thought like, oh, if there's a blemish on the shell, you don't really want to sell that. So they used to dye it red and stuff. But people love it so much that they've given that up, and it's just about the pistachio, not about the looks. It's about what it can do for you. Just like pistachio pie, it's more than just what it looks good. It actually does something. You're welcome. I hope it's recorded. You don't have to write it down.
Yeah, no, I'm going to come back later and get these written. It's good.
We're gonna slice and dice all these kernels, no pun intended.
We're gonna crack it open, I think is what you mean.
Yeah, crack open these brand
man,
things,
man. If you ever need like a part-time job writing pistachio marketing puns, I got you.
That's it. He's gonna work for Pistachio Tokens, bro. You gotta hook him up.
No, it's hard. I'm a tough nut to crack.
There it is. Oh man, but hey, that's so cool to hear that you've got this well-rounded, probably unique sort of user experience. What I was going to lean into a little bit is, it's obviously rooted in self-custody, being your own bank sort of thing, all the amazing values that are instilled in why we're here, right, with Web3 and crypto and managing yourself. So I noticed one thing we're trying to kind of get more active in our ecosystem app as well is encrypted chat, which, it's real valid now, the discussion, right? Telegram, which has not ever really been by default an encrypted chat messenger, but that CEO is sitting there in prison now or in custody doing this thing in France. So like, where do you feel that plays into this app and this ecosystem you've built with the user experience? Why is that important to include with encrypted chat?
Yeah, right. Because it comes down to privacy at the end of the day, and people are disillusioned by the actual amount of privacy that we receive in these encrypted messaging apps, right? Like everyone thinks Telegram's encrypted, and it's like experts for a very long time have been saying Telegram is not encrypted. But people, for whatever reason, and me myself, I was guilty of this in the beginning too. Something about their marketing or branding or whatever it was expressed like secure messaging, right? And that made you think encrypted, but it's not encrypted. Like anyone can go in and basically release your messages. And there's a lot of cons to this, right? One is that they can take the information in your messages and let's say like they could train large language models with it, which is not ideal. But then also like if you want to have your privacy and keep things on the DL and for whatever reason, right? Just because I think we're all entitled to privacy as a basic human right. And to not have Big Brother looking at your messages, you don't receive that benefit by using Telegram. And so what we've done is we're integrating a system called Push. It's previously known as the Ethereum protocol, Ethereum Protocol Notification System, EPNS. And so what that does is allow wallet to wallet on-chain chat. And it uses a private key to basically create the encryption. And so in order to decrypt or encrypt the data, you need to have that private key. And so the way that we set up the app right now is the private key would only be available on your phone, meaning us as Pistachio, as the administrator of the application, would not be able to see the context of your chats. We can't decode them. They're encrypted, right? Encryption. The whole idea of encryption is to prevent a man in the middle of attack. It encrypts the message, it sends the message, it decrypts the message, prevents anyone from who may be able to obtain that message in transit from looking at it. And so we cannot at any point take your messages and see them, read them, give it to anyone else. We literally, if people came to us and were like, you need to comply and give us these people's messages, it's like, we can't. Like there's just physically no way to do it because we don't store the encryption keys. They're stored locally on your phone. And so it truly is it's this idea, and it's all done via like on-chain mechanisms, right? The way that push like sends the message and then writes the message to the chain, but it's all encrypted, so it doesn't matter. And so it brings it back to this ethos of privacy, self-sovereignty, of protection, really, right? Like I'm of a firm mind where it's like if I were to give you cash or if I were to say something to you in person, right? That's like, I feel like our digital interactions should reflect that, as opposed to, as opposed to someone else being able to, at any point, being able to track everything that you do and creating a profile for you or having you on a list or, whatever it is. It's like, privacy is a basic human right.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that you're building a financial app, right? Like you said, it's simply to sum it up, it's a financial app. So many people are tired of that, where even now, people who are starting to lean into crypto, they may get a call from their bank saying, "Hey, listen, we noticed you transferred some money into this, this exchange account. Was that you or was that a scam?" Now, I know they make it sound like they're protecting you, and hopefully, if it is a scam, they'll also do the call, right? But if you go ahead and say to that bank clerk, "No, it was my transaction. I've authorized it," and they still provide resistance of how you use your own money. People are so sick of that shit, and I hear about it all the time. And so self-sovereignty, of your own finances is such an important thing. People don't want to deal with that. They also don't want to deal with their transaction history being shared with other creditors and other credit card partners who are just selling your data and you get nothing back, right? We're all sick of that. So I think what you're doing is really awesome, and building an encryption an encryption chat layer also kind of emphasizes that this is where you can communicate with people. But that whole thing you described is what a lot of people are missing from things like Telegram, where when you design something private by default, that's also synonymous with encryption at rest, which means there is no record of it unencrypted for anyone to intercept. So like you said, if someone was to say, "Oh, Pistachio, we feel there's this bad guy running around using your app," like, you cannot give them any information on their chats because it's encrypted. There's no way to touch it, which is similar how we design masks. We're not the middleman at all, So it's really important these days for people to make that distinction of what apps they use. Is it private by default?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not about like protecting those people, right? It's not about enabling illicit activity, which is generally what governments tried to get you on. Like, oh, well, you're being complicit with illegal activity. It's like, no, that's not the point. The point is to just give everybody the same level of privacy that they deserve.
Yeah, 100%. And not damage or, dilute the importance of it for the average person just because some bad people do bad things, which is just, it's happened across human history. You don't always have to change things because the 1% of bad people do something. It's like, I did have to admit, I did see some real funny memes floating around from the outcry of Pavel being arrested in France, right? And one of them was was the founder of Bic pens. And they said, "Quick,
yes.
arrest this man because he's been selling these pens, which allow people to secretly, criminals secretly write messages to each other. Arrest this man." And I'm like, that's kind of It sounds crazy, but it's like, bro, that's almost what's happening. But because we live in this digital world, we forget how ridiculous these things could be.
Right. Well, it's more so because the hidden police state that we lived in before is now just becoming less subtle, and like the people that are in charge of it are caring less that we know that we're in this police state, and they're becoming more brazen with the government overreach in order to get into your finances, in order to get into your messages, in order to see and listen to you at all times, right? And so it's if there's any way to kind of get a little bit of more protection, then at least we'll do our best to try to give you that right.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think another good thing that I really feel strongly looking at the values of your project, like your building and stuff, and similar to Mask, like there's a whole bunch of people out there that are literally unbanked for various reasons, right? Either their currency is facing hyperinflation, they're living in an environment where their government's very oppressive, or even in places where people are starting to not realize how it's really going to affect them now and into the future, where some places which we wouldn't feel are maybe diminishing freedoms like in Europe, but there's like limits on how much cash you can take out from an ATM. I mean, how do you have control over your own finances? Like, I think you guys probably have thought about that, and maybe you've got some marketing plans to really make your app and your ecosystem available to people who need just simply that, a way to get banked, but in the digital world where they have sovereignty over their finances, right?
Dude, even in the U.S., let's say there's women who are post sex trafficking, who have had their identity stolen, who are unable to open a bank account in the United States because of a compromised identity, and so these women struggle in being able to store their finances securely somewhere. And so the idea of self-banking, right, is this idea that everyone is entitled to be able to securely store your finances in one way or another. And so this will help to achieve that. There are obvious limitations to what we can do because we are like a US domiciled company, right? So we need to comply with I'm blanking on the name. Like OFAC.
It's like the AML KYC stuff, right?
Right. Like we comply with everything. We comply with KYC AML in terms of ramping. So like specifically for when you buy and sell crypto into fiat, we have a provider that handles that. And we're also not going to be available as an application in OFAC sanctioned countries. And honestly, that's just because if we don't do that, it's just going to be a major headache with the United States government. And so it's like, as long as we are taking, as a company, as long as we are taking the proper steps to be compliant, which we are, then we shouldn't have a problem, right? Like we're not doing anything illegal. We're not complying with illicit activity. We are specifically just trying to create the perfect world of self-banking and enabling people to be able to take advantage of that and be their own bank.
Yeah, well said, man. Because there's a big, even that situation you described, I hadn't even kind of thought of that being a growing issue, but it would be. And people who are just they're victims of circumstance and they get barred out of the normal system. Even people, because I hate the credit score system in the US, but even that destroys people. You have one, bad patch of your life, and if your credit score is destroyed, you almost can't become a homeowner. You can't buy a car. You can't do all sorts of stuff. It's like, it's so crazy.
Debt score.
Yeah.
No, seriously, it's ridiculous. If you pay off your debt, your score like goes down, right? They want you to have debt to like indicate that you can like pay it back. But my score is very high. But if you consistently pay things off, like it can actually be lowered based on not having certain debt outstanding, which is ridiculous, right? And so one of my future goals actually is to create this sort of on-chain reputation system, like an on-chain credit score in a way. I don't know how exactly I'm going to do it. There are Alani actually knows a company that's doing something similar.
Yeah, Monday.
With this Monday. Yes, he wants us to try to leverage them with this, and I think it could be like a really cool opportunity, especially if we want to get eventually to like on-chain under collateralized loans. Like obviously over collateralized loans are very common because they're very easy to do on chain, but under collateralized like credit based loans are not. And so how are you able to like trust people without some sort of like on-chain reputation system? And so the goal is to kind of create this on-chain reputation system that's based on like per wallet as opposed to like generally like per identity. And so because like let's say over time like you create a wallet and you have like just terrible financial history, right? Like you lose money, you get liquidated, all this stuff. But like as time goes on, right, you create new wallets, they build better scores, and eventually you fade out the old wallets because you are more financially savvy as you learn, as you grow. And so it's like, should those older wallets impact your previous history or your current, should your history impact your current standing of like financial knowledge if you have improved and gotten better? And I don't think it should, right? It should be a reflection of a more present and forward looking way, especially if you're able to like clean up your credit history, clean up your on-chain activity and improve in that, right? Like those people deserve to be able to have a loan and not something 10 years back that impacts them and prevents them from being able to access funds.
Yeah, well said, well said. And you're right. That's an area that in the DeFi sort of world is very green. There's a few. I have heard a few spaces where there's some companies that are trying to do that and do under collateralized loan or crowd, what they call crowd loans, you know, or where they sort of like spread the risk amongst people who go in for return, and then it's like spreading the actual funding of the loans. So there's lots of cool stuff out there, but it is an untapped area.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna get you in contact with Laura Loomer, bro. She's had trouble getting banking done.
Is that the girl that was trading the moon cycles?
No, Laura Loomer is like a really big Trump supporter, and like she basically got canceled left and right for supporting Trump. It's hilarious and super sad at the same time. Yeah, no, it's pretty bad. She's at all like the rallies and stuff. Yeah,
she is getting canceled everywhere. I think I know the one now.
It's happened in real life. It's not only like on X. It's like everywhere. She's a little out there when it comes to like her reviews and stuff, but yeah, I don't think that it's right to unbank people simply because of their political views. That I don't care which side of the aisle you're on. It's just one of those things that like you don't mess with people's finances, their livelihood, simply because they have a different stance than you do. That's where my heart's at. Like is it crazy? Is it beneficial all the time? No, but like there's some things, some lines that should never be crossed. Just because you don't think the same way as your neighbor doesn't mean that y'all can't get along and have a bank account in the same bank. Like that to me is just crazy. And having financial tools the way you're describing them, the way you're building them, makes all the difference in the world. It actually goes to show the world that we're out here actually fighting for them, not against them, as most people like to say crypto's all about scammers and thieves. But that's not the case. We're actually just trying to make sure people are, healthy when it comes to their finances, when it comes to, being able to be sovereign and actually hold their funds themselves and not have it be, what is it? You put $1 in the bank and it turns into 10 in about 2 seconds. Yeah, just not a good setup.
Yeah, absolutely. And also just being able to reach beyond like traditional financial models, right? Into like I want to try to bring on-chain traditional financial models like bonds, like yield bearing instruments. Like I guess that's like the whole concept of like RWAs, but in a more globalized sense. So like giving people access to, like, for example, Mexican bonds have really high interest rates. It's absolutely incredible. Like 8-9% for like a fixed rate that you receive from the government, which is like slightly riskier than like, let's say, like the United States government for default. But realistically, the Mexican government's very good with that. They're not going to default, right? And so it's like, wow, how do we get access to that? Like other people can like invest in the United States stock market, even if you're not American. How do we get more access to, let's say, Mexican yield bearing instruments I'm sure there's some ways, right? I'm actually I used to be a financial advisor 10 years ago, but I'm not as familiar with a lot of that stuff now. I'm sure there's plenty of ways to get access to that type of financial instruments. But now it's like, what if we can bring that on chain and then have that self-banking instrument, right? That self-banking application give direct access to these high yield bearing international instruments. And so it becomes a more global financial picture instead of where we're very nationalized right now, and everyone's kind of in their silos. I've always seen crypto as this globalizing factor when it comes to currency, when it comes to finance, and so I think it's just like kind of like a natural progression of where we could go and where we could go as like an ecosystem as well.
Yeah, well said. I've always looked at that too. That's what's always excited me with passion as a builder in the space is that it's almost like we're breaking down barriers in all different ways. Some that people don't really think about when you become someone who's like an innovator or an entrepreneur or builder or whatever in the space. You realize like that's why it is getting exciting here for all of us is because there's very little barriers to actually collaborate with other projects, building these building blocks, making them fit together in different ways. There's not as much jurisdictional restrictions, red tape with corporates. Like you could just call someone up and say, "Hey, I got this great idea. I live in Mexico, you live in UAE. Let's build it." And then you sort out the stuff later. But it's breaking down these barriers, breaking down barriers for banking, lending, all that type of thing. And those are something to fight for, But one thing's for sure, we got to do things in the right way and got to do things with user experience and privacy in mind. Because one thing that is scary is that if they ever circumvent just normal encryption, we're all kind of screwed. If any of these governments manage to pass that crap in any of their legislations where they automatically get backdoors to encryption, we're kind of like, oh, what are we going to do now, guys?
They don't need to pass it; they do it anyway. They don't need to pass a
Well, the
law to do it
surveillance,
because
yeah, surveillance.
yeah,
Yeah.
which is it really is the scary part. There's a lot of quiet parts that are not said out loud in terms of the surveillance state, and we're in it already. Like I'm sure that me even just have us having this conversation now, maybe I don't think anyone's actively listening. I don't know if we've triggered anything, but everyone's phone has what's called what's it called? It's like this. It's like a band within your phone that it doesn't actually have to listen to you. And this was something that blew my mind last year. Someone educated me about this. But it's basically the concept of your phone does not need to listen to you, right? One, it's like, well, it's the algorithms. They know you so well. It's not even that. It's like there's a band in your phone that like picks up vibrations and can basically understand everything that you're doing as long as you're within 15 feet of your phone. And that's terrifying. Like they don't need to actively listen because we're all being surveilled. We're all being watched basically at all times because we willingly carry the surveillance device along with us.
Yeah, it is. Every OPSEC, person who'd say, talk to you is like, just your phone is the worst thing, like not to scare people. Like we obviously use it a lot for conveniences in life and being more productive and connecting with other people, humans, yeah, it's important. But, that's the worst OPSEC anyone has is what's ever in their hand with the mobile device. So take a break. We got to touch grass, right? Get some sun, get some vitamin D, exercise, get that phone out of there for a while. And yeah nothing beats that.
Yeah, I wonder maybe there's a product idea in there, like a phone case that prevents the vibrations from coming through, or something that lets you sort of like disconnect without locking your phone away in a box somewhere.
Yeah, they sell. Well, the old man, like my dad bought me as a gift because I guess he had one too for some reason. I don't know why. He never really told me. But he's like, "Hey, I got this Faraday bag for you. You can put your electronics in there, and it's like it's like a mini Faraday cage for a device." But I was thinking that's actually not the worst idea because if you wanted to have a backup phone or something, and you just want to keep it, somewhere, even put stuff in there if there's some kind of I don't know, electrical surge or whatever happens, it's kind of like protected. And yeah, I mean, there's probably ways to design stuff like that.
Yeah, I imagine. I wonder if they'd allow it. Who knows?
Yeah. But, I see a lot of stuff from like the ghost of McAfee floating around, right? He's with us still.
Yeah, yeah. That man was. Was it? I think Alani used to work with him, dude.
Yeah, he showed me a picture one time of them hanging out. Like they had a few pictures together. I was like, damn. Yeah, we all miss him in many flavors.
Yeah, he was exciting, if nothing.
Yeah. But no, we covered a lot of good stuff, man. I love what you guys are building. I hope you've included me in the early access. I might have used a few email accounts just to make sure I don't get missed for sign up.
Well, you should have. I mean, if anyone wants access to like the alpha, as long as, but you don't have Apple, that's why. Otherwise, I would have given you I would have given you the access to the alpha version already.
That's all good. Can they still
Corey,
get involved? Maybe Action. You want to get it?
We talked about this. You need to get a burner. You need to have all the devices.
Yes,
I do.
Came
I do. I need to
together.
buy a second-hand Apple. I just don't want to set up an iCloud account. Like it's going to start getting all my info in Apple now. I'm already screwed with whatever Samsung has, even though I've turned all this stuff off. I'm spreading too much of my pistachio seeds around.
Yeah, I will say you will need either a Google Cloud or an Apple Cloud to use Pistachio, and because that's where your recovery key is actually stored, and so it's just the easiest in terms of like, because otherwise, if we store the recovery key locally on the phone, which we did, well, we store the normal key on the phone, right? But if you were then to lose your device, you would lose access to everything that you have, and so
Yeah,
we
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 need the
back up.
backup.
Yeah, and the backup key is in the cloud, although it's not. If your cloud is hacked, it actually wouldn't give access to your funds, right? Because it's only a fragment of the key that's encrypted, and so even like let's say they somehow hack your Samsung cloud or whatever it is, and they get access to the key and they somehow decrypt it, which is very unlikely. It would be half of the private key, and they would be shit out of luck.
Yeah, that's right. Because you're using like it's a three-piece shard, right? So each party has one.
Yeah, it's a two-piece shard in this case, but
Oh,
yes.
two-piece. Yeah, yeah. Because you could look at I'm sure there's ways to do it, as I've seen a messaging project do that. Is maybe one day as an option you have like an IPFS storage solution, and it's an encrypted file up in IPFS rather than a Google or Apple account, and then if you've got your password, you can decrypt it.
That would be super cool. I'm curious. We're starting to. I think there's a way to do it with like passkeys as well. I think we're gonna look in with our like MPC provider to see what if there's any alternative ways basically that are not cloud based. But an IPF solution actually would be super cool to that as long as there's like a. It's then just what are the recovery criteria for like proving that you are you when it comes to the IPFS.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but no, lots of exciting things ahead. Is there any, usually Action hosts a lot of these closeout sort of things because I know we're nearing the hour. Um, he might feel a bit strange that I've sort of like moved into the host position rather
I
than him
love
leading
it.
the way.
I love it. You're so good at it. I do have some work for you if you're interested. I'm doing 5 spaces a day. I could lower that to 3 if you want to take 2. That'd be great.
Well, bro, they've got some.
Damn.
That's crazy. Well, here's the thing. I'm sure that there's AI solutions out there that can, like transcribe what I'm saying in your voice. So you could actually become a 24/7 Action Man because I'm in this opposite time zone. So we can work out a deal where you have 24/7 coverage of spaces.
That sounds amazing. So I just need to relinquish access to my private data, meaning my voice and everything that I am. That's great. I'm all about that, right?
Yeah. I need to scan your iris, and then you'll need to send me your 12 seed words, please.
24. I'll give all 24.
Oh, okay, man. We got this. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, he goes extra secure.
Yeah. Oh man. But no, dude, if you want to do a closeout for us, Action, or you want me to lead the way, this is maybe practice for when I sub in for you on a space. What do you think?
Dude, I am down for whatever. It's just exciting. Let me ask one question before we close out. How will Mask and Pistachio-Fi work together in the future?
So I don't think we have a 100% clear vision on that just yet, although we have been discussing. We do want to see some sort of collaboration, right? We want something. It would be really cool if we can kind of allow Pistachio users to connect their wallet to the Mask browser. We have no intention of making a Chrome extension at this time, though. Like we are very much mobile first. That doesn't mean we won't be able to create some sort of like wallet connect ability to be able to like allow users to do it. And then we have this like seamless element of kind of privacy and security between the two. Or maybe there's a way to get, use your pistachio tokens or mask tokens for one of the other ecosystems. I think we're kind of leaving things open right now and seeing where we can align and what makes the most sense. And then at that point we'll jump on it. But we definitely want to. We're more aligned in ethos than we are in actual like product compatibility at this point.
Yeah, well said, man. I totally concur with everything you've mentioned. There's lots of ways to cross-pollinate from our projects, though, that I've seen. I've got a couple ideas as well I've written down. But one of the ones we could certainly do is when you guys get live production ready for the public, we'll add you into our Web3 dApp store, because we're curating that list along with the community too, but of like amazing products who are like standing in that ethos with us. And that allows, our audience and the community coming in to kind of see you as a provider. Boom, straight in there, on-ramping some users into Pistachio to get the mobile app. And then hopefully one day in the shorter future, when we dive into the mobile apps that we hopefully can develop, we'll be right there with you on the phones, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That would be huge. I appreciate that big time.
Yeah, oh, good.
So what I'm hearing is that Mask continues to align itself with projects and products that care about the things that we care about here when it comes to privacy and security. It's of the uttermost importance, and people forget how much this stuff actually matters. And I'm so glad to have Mask and have you, Corey, actually looking out for the end user and allowing them to actually find these incredible projects. So, I mean, it's what we say. Thank you, everybody that listened in, and thank you for everybody that's going to be listening to clips of this space and everything else that comes along with it. I truly appreciate the time, the effort that gets not only put into all these products, but the care that comes along with it, knowing that being sovereign really matters. Being, the custodian of your own stuff actually goes a long way. So make sure that you protect your nut by going to pistachio.fi. Check them out. Totally worth it. And of course, it's maskbrowser.com. That's where you want to head to next. I will see you guys in about a week's time. Thank y'all for hanging out, and we'll see you later.